Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We got our player props video up for you today on this big 12-game NBA slate on Wednesday night. We could go ahead and check out Nate's great article as well on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there for you as we look to stay hot with these player props, get back above 500 for the last couple of weeks. Definitely had a decent night last night. Look to keep that going with you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page as well. Check out those other couple game videos we have up for you tonight, and make sure you are also on thelines.com checking out that odds checker and props tool to make sure you're finding the best bets available for you guys on those NBA player props. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's player props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, last night we had that Nets game nailed, had the wrong K who went off with Kyrie going for 50 points, and then Kevin Durant had a little fun trolling people who took all his player performance doubles and parlays as he scored a season-low 14 points and didn't even really try to get his going while Kyrie went off. Just a little fun there, as you can expect some random lulls towards the tail end of the regular season here, but not from Luka Doncic, who is on an MVP pace, of course. His Mavs host the Knicks tonight. He's been having a lot of fun lately, unleashing that step back three that really is unguardable. So you might think, oh, well, the Knicks do a good job of limiting him in the past, but they don't really have an answer from three against anybody. They allow the third highest percentage of their points from deep. They're allowing 39% from deep over their last three, and they allow the sixth most triples to point guards on the season. So I'm really looking at Luka's three-pointers first and foremost. You get terrible odds on him to hit three of them, but for him to hit four, which he's done in 5 straight home games, at least four, is plus 230 in a win. For him to hit, it's nearly plus 200 regardless of the win, but I think we think the Mavs will win. For him to hit 5 is plus 430, and he has done that. He's averaging 5.4 triples per game in his last 5 home games. He's shooting 47.5%. I like the PRA too. I mean, it's dropped to 50.5, which gives you worse odds, but in his last 5 home games, he's averaging 41 points, 11.5 rebounds. We're there already. And then you tack on 8.5 assists, which is what he gets since the Kristaps Porzingis trade. He's up at 53 PRA over 15 games, shooting 40.5% from three. And so that's the key. You look at his recent matchups with the Tom Thibodeau Knicks, and the scoring output has not been great. I mean, still 28 points per game. It's great for anybody else. He's still averaging a triple-double. Yeah. But he's hitting just 2.4 of nearly 10 three attempts per game. So a few more of those threes go down, and Luka's definitely going to light it up here in terms of his total production. I would also just look at the rebounds and assists for him at 18.5, but it's really about the triples for me when you look at this Knicks team that kind of forces you to beat them from the perimeter.
Yeah, and I just want to really hone in on what we're saying here. In his last 5 home games, he's got 41 points a game and 8 assists a game, meaning he's scoring or assisting on roughly 62% of his team's points, as they don't score very many points. That's insanely efficient, and I love the points, rebounds, and assists. I'm going to follow you on the 4+ threes in a win. If he's shooting 10, shooting 10 threes a game, I understand he's only made about 2.5 of those against the Knicks in his last 5 versus them, but I still think at home with that 47.5% 3-point percentage over those last 5, we've got to hit him. I mean, even if this is the first time that he doesn't go bananas in recent memory at home, we have to do it. So we're definitely hitting that tonight, both threes and PRA for Luka tonight. I'm going to go to another guy who's been not Luka hot, but super sizzling hot since the Kings traded away a bunch of guys and got Domantas Sabonis. You've got D Fox here at 24.5 points for even money on DraftKings. I mean, since the trade, he's scored 25 plus in 10 of those 12 games. So, the sort of subtraction of Tyrese Halliburton from this lineup has done wonders at the very least for the Kings, for De'Aaron Fox. Maybe not for the Kings, as they're 4-8 in that time, but he's scoring in that time frame 28 points a game, 6 assists as well, and 4 boards in 38 minutes. He's shooting 51% from the field with a 29% usage rate, and he's scoring half his points in the paint, which is awesome for a point guard. Obviously, Denver gives up the 7th most points in the paint on the road. Really bad defensive team in the paint anywhere they play all season, and they give up the 2nd most points per game to point guards, which is not surprising when you look at the top of their defense with basically Monta Morris, and if Will Barton is out tonight, as we probably expect him to be, that's another that's basically their best wing defender, and Aaron Gordon's playing a lot more of a big man role. So against Denver this season as well, he's doing just fine, 25 points a game, and 4 boards and 6 assists in 3 appearances versus Denver this season. Like I said, if he's getting those 38 and a half minutes a game with that usage rate close to 30% at this point, I feel really good about him getting that 25 easily tonight for even money. Feels like they sort of missed on this one.
Yeah, and as I mentioned in the game video, you can get him to score 25 and Jokic to score 25 at plus 190. So a nice little juke there too.
In a game total of 240,
Yeah, and for them to both get 8 assists at plus 340. Jokic, you can pretty much count on the 8 assists recently, averaging a triple-double against the Kings his last 6. The Kings giving up a ton of assists, but Fox is going to have to get a lot going in the perimeter. I mean, you mentioned him how much he scores in the paint, and that is where Denver's vulnerable right now. They have the number 1 3-point defense on the road in their last 5, so he's going to have to slash and attack and set guys up.
Yeah.
So I like the assists there and the points, as he's going to have to be their engine tonight. And the Thunder are going to have to keep relying on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those props just coming up right now as we record around noon Eastern time. 29.5 points for SGA is about even money here on DraftKings. And I mean, the last time out against the Wolves, he scored 33 points in 30 minutes as they lost by 37, but he went 14 for 21 from the floor. So obviously the Wolves could not stop him. It's just that they could not be stopped on the other end, and that no one else from the Thunder is really producing. Without Josh Giddey, they're relying on him even more. That's why SGA has 39 points per game on a 38% usage rate in those 9 games without Giddey. And he's getting 11 free throw attempts per game, which is obviously huge against a Wolves team that gives up the most free throw attempts on the season. Thunder on a back-to-back after getting crushed by the Bucks last night. Well, SGA has done well on his last few backs-to-backs, including 36 points against the Pacers last time out with a 41.2% usage rate. He averages slightly more points and has a higher usage rate on the road this season. And lately, while the Wolves on the season have been much better at home in terms of defense, they've actually been better on the road lately with their defense. Their defensive numbers also kind of skewed lately by that blowout and then by crushing the Blazers, who basically have 1.5 NBA players on the floor at a time right now in their last 2. So look for SGA at Minnesota to surprise a little bit, kind of get a little redemption after that 37-point loss and keep his team somewhat competitive.
Yeah, I think so. And you just hope that, he gets the minutes. I mean, he even in that blowout loss to Minnesota, he had 30 minutes in that game that he played. In their blowout win, that was super surprising at Denver, where they won by 22. He also had 37 minutes in that game. So they're still playing him. I'm sure there's some sort of, behind closed doors agreement that if Shai Gilgeous is going to bring it all for this team, they're not going to play him 25 minutes just because they're down by double digits, right? So I think we can continue to expect that. And I love the usage rate. And continue to hit him without Giddey in there. I mean, we know who's going to have the ball in his hands the entire time and the green light to shoot whenever he wants. So, Shai Gilgeous to get 30 tonight against a Wolves team that, I don't think is as good a defense as they've been against the Blazers is a good pick tonight. Lastly, I'm going to go with my guy who I love. We know Drew Holiday. We talk about his importance on the defensive end against the Hawks and why we would consider an under there. But just as important, at the very least, he's crucial to what they do to stopping Trey to win the game. But I do like his ability as on offense, considering he'll probably also have Trey guarding him for for a good portion of the game tonight. So his points is at 18.5. It gets you about minus 110 at DraftKings. You could also throw in the rebounds, still gets you slightly better odds, 23.5 points in rebounds at minus 105. They're playing at home tonight. Last 5 at home for Drew. We're talking about 22.5 points, 5 boards, almost 8 assists a game, shooting 54 and 55%. So 55% from 3, really, really good. He hasn't had great shooting numbers against Atlanta in his last 5 versus them, playing against Trey, 19 points a game, 5 boards, but 10 assists. This is all still despite shooting 40% from the field and 29% from 3 in those last 5 versus Atlanta. A bunch of those were I should mention, I believe 4 of those 5 were on the road. So only one of those at home. Trey playing D is just, it's great for whoever's, picking props against him with 121 defensive rating this season individually. We know he's a pretty net negative on the defensive end there. And then, Drew, in terms of sort of what he needs to do when the Bucks are playing on the second leg of a back-to-back, in their last 6 in this situation, which they are tonight, about 23 points a game, 8 assists, 4.5 boards with those really great shooting numbers. So I think, this is a great time for him to get a bunch of those, ancillary stats as well as he's been doing. So I think I would stick with the points and rebounds tonight at 23.5. I feel good about him getting 6 or 7 boards, which means you really only need about 16, 17 points for him to get over that total.
Yeah, I mean, you look at getting 19 points per game despite the poor splits recently against Atlanta. That to me tells you that he is just bullying Trey Young. Yeah. And getting a lot of high percentage looks down low. And the way he's been shooting from 3 lately, you mentioned his last 6 back-to-back. He's 58% from deep and on the back-to-back right now. So I think he'll get it going both inside and out, and probably be over 20 points tonight. So the points and rebounds is not scary at all against Atlanta. And I'll just throw out there a bonus 5th pick that we didn't quite feel confident enough about. I don't feel confident. I don't feel emotionally ready to take the Celtics at -7 on the road right now. But Marcus Smart should get over 12.5 points tonight. I also like him to get maybe get 6 rebounds in a win against a Hornets team that gives up the most rebounds per game at home. That's on a back-to-back, has lost 10 of their last 11 on back-to-backs. And Smart and Rob Williams are now on the pulpit as, co-defensive players of the year. They're somehow both top candidates as the Celtics are just locking up. Yeah. Also should note Isaiah Thomas is going to play some consistent minutes for the Hornets and try to get his. And then he'll have to guard Marcus Smart probably on the other end, or Derek White, which definitely means good things for them. So I think he can get some of his props tonight, but it's not an official pick.
Well, we appreciate you tentatively coming on board to the Celtics so that, maybe you can start to feel better about it. I think this is you in a cathartic manner, letting us know that you're starting to put your hopes back into the Celtics. You're just not quite fully invested yet. I won't tweet out the Marcus Smart pick for you guys, so we'll keep that one off record. But this is us stating that maybe Nate is ready to start taking the Celtics. We'll see as we move forward. Either way, that is all the time we have for you guys in this one as we look to climb back above 500 over the last couple of weeks. Like I said, started pretty hot on the week so far, at least above 500 enough to keep it going here. And so until we see you next, happy betting.